Hello, and welcome to the Argyle HR Technology Leadership Forum. My name is Nick Ciavata with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our esteemed speaker. First, a quick reminder to stop by our sponsors' virtual booths at any time during today's event and for the following week. Our partners are committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. At any time during today's event, you can visit their virtual booth from the main agenda page, which include complimentary materials, information, and meet and greet opportunities. To ask questions throughout the session, simply type into the Q&A chat, and we will address your questions at the end of the session. Now, without further delay, I would like to introduce our speaker, Tanya Carter, Chief Human Resources Officer, Muskogee County School District. We are excited to have Tanya with us for a keynote presentation titled Improving Your HR Technology Training for Greater Impact. Welcome, Tanya. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Nick. It's truly an honor to be here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this short session on what to consider to ensure that you're getting the greatest impact out of your acquiring or using HR technology from a training perspective or from any HR support perspective. As Nick said, my name is Tanya Carter, and I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer of Muskogee County School District, which is the third largest county in Georgia. We're in Columbus, Georgia. However, my journey here has been a very unexpected one. Which kind of plays into what I'd like to share with you today. I appreciate the opportunity to share some of those tidbits of what I've learned over 25 years in HR. Although I am in Columbus, Georgia, I actually am from Virginia, and having been in the military, I've kind of traveled not only the world, but also when I switched over to General Motors, I had exposure to global technology, although stationed in the, I guess, several areas of the Michigan area, so it's different cities. Let's see. And what I'd like to share with you is kind of what I'd say is a quick video clip that level sets the direction of the presentation for today.
Welcome to Next Tech Tips, the funny version. Utilize HR software because managing human resources is like juggling chainsaws, and that's better left up to the robots. I mean, they can afford to lose a limb here and there, and well, then there's no workers' comp claim. The more you know.
Clearly, I'm only slightly kidding here, but what I appreciate about this forum is that it's been sharing a lot of, so far, very interrelated topics. The entire forum has been about that, and I hope you're getting a value out of it as much as I am. And a common theme is about if we select the matching HR technology for our business needs, there are many benefits that can be gained. That can include encouraging the right behaviors that increase efficiency, productivity, as well as saving time and money. And as you know, HR isn't a profit center, but with the right technology choices, we can find savings and efficiencies, whether direct or indirect, in savings anywhere will help contribute to the bottom line, which is what our C-suites and top leadership are looking for. This is a key factor to having a seat at the table with our leadership team as business partners. So here's one of the things that I really wanted to identify and get us on the same page for is what HR technology really is. And from an HR perspective, you see a list here of several different ways that technology can be applied. Clearly, it is not an all-inclusive list, but it's necessary to be able to understand the different ways you can use it and actually be able to be trained and cognizant of all the different benefits that you can get from it. But this is also where my interest, when you look at the definition, where my interest was piqued because of my background. This definition speaks to the engineer in me. My degree initially was a career in engineering. I went to West Point, and when I came out, I actually not only had an engineering degree, I went into the field of engineering. This actually helps me because I still work in HR. I've switched to HR. I still think in critical path methodology and project management terms. And I think that they actually marry very well. I love people. I love to work with people. I love to connect with them. But I also like to make sure that there's value and that there's a way to tie it back in a very clear metric on whether something is working or not, or we can have a clear plan, strategic plan on how to get there. So when I saw automation, I immediately thought of error proofing. HR throughout my career has been either manual, really manual, or a little less manual in the processes. But when a person didn't have to manually calculate something or enter data versus uploading it or creating a spreadsheet with formulas in it, we were less likely to experience errors. And that's why we can experience these benefits, take the time to experience these benefits in the use of technology for the items that you see listed here. Excuse me. To highlight some specifics, I really want to focus on just a few of them. With benefits administration, you can actually be skilled at understanding how to use the technology for allowing for tracking and encouraging others and analyzing with health information of employees with access to the health plan resources and with well-being programs that offer incentives and rewards for participating. As a matter of fact, in a study done on the return on investment of employees with wellness programs, the Harvard researchers concluded that an average of for every dollar spent on employee wellness, medical costs actually fell $3.27, and absenteeism dropped $2.73. So when you add those up, it's a 6-to-1 return on an investment. When you think of having those kinds of discussions, when you understand the technology that you have and speaking to your leadership about that, that really resonates. Another one is a report by the International Foundation of Employee Benefit Plans determined that most North American employees saved $1 to $3 in their overall health care costs for every dollar that they spent on an employee wellness program. These savings come from direct costs like workers' compensation claims that we can avoid, as you heard in the humorous video at the beginning, and indirect costs like improved retention and increased productivity. These are just a couple of the ways to convey to your leadership the importance and impact of such software on the business, and that even with things like payroll and compensation, you want to have accurate timekeeping. You want to be determining a fair and comparable wages with similar positions across the nation. Technology allows us to get that data and more accurately determine what those are. From a learning perspective, and one of the things that I'm most excited about in my career is the ability to coach others, the ability to help them develop as individuals or teams in their careers or in their own personal growth. Having a learning management system, which has all of the training, different topics that we can gauge would be necessary for whatever our development need is at that time. And they have, when you have all these in place, they're very key to attracting and retaining talent. Development is one of the first things a potential employee considers when choosing a company to work for, which also helps with consistently measuring if we are not only offering those things, but also building into an interrelated a relationship with performance management and succession planning. All of those things tie together, and it's extremely important to make sure that anyone who's considering your company or someone who's already there and wants to stay knows that these are available for them for training purposes. But you get the idea. There's plenty there that can be used that many of you probably are using already. Ultimately, utilizing HR technology from a training perspective can truly transform your relationship with business leaders as you sell this information, and can give you a seat at the table as you modify HR operations to meet the business needs through technology. Now, so right now you're going to be seeing a couple of poll questions come up from Lindsay. And what I'm looking for here is the aggregate results are going to help me understand the audience a little bit more. And as you think about your experience with HR technology, how would you rate yourself? Either a beginner, intermediate, or advanced? And then also, as you think of your current organization, how robust are your HR systems? Is everything practically manual? Are they fully integrated, or are you somewhere in between? So let's take a look at those responses. And Nick, I may have to have you tell me what it, because I don't see it popping up on my screen.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, it's in the chat here. Here we go. How experienced are you with HR technology? 25% say beginner, 25% say intermediate, 50% advanced. And for the second poll question, how robust are your current HR systems? 20% not very, standalone system or manual processes. 80% somewhat, can generate reports automatically and some APIs in place. 0% fully integrated system.
Well, other than the fully integrated system, it looks like we have a pretty good mix overall. The good thing is that the information that will be shared, and hopefully I'll not only share some things with you, but maybe get some information from you as well, other than the poll questions, on how it could be beneficial to any one of us. Some of you may also be able to share information to help with any of the questions that might come in, because you are pretty experienced or have had the opportunity to work with technology and see the benefits of it pretty up close. But so feel free to add your suggestions if anything comes up in the chat. And then of course I'll answer some questions, do some Q&A at the end. Although I'm not here to sell anything specific, I'm just here to share a little bit about my experiences as I've been in each of these areas, whether at the beginning stages, intermediate stages, fully automated, very manual, at some point in my career. So hopefully you'll find some of that information helpful. So no matter where you find yourself, you'll recognize the benefits that can be gained with the use of HR technology. It benefits everyone, applicants, customer service, employees, and even project quality. And this is, again, whether it's from a training aspect or it's from an availability, accessibility aspect. When you have the right technology and it's chosen for your needs and the people are trained to use it properly, you can almost error-proof results, which has been one of my priorities since I've started. As I said, when I saw the word automation, when I first saw the definition, I was like, yep, that's what I'd like to achieve. From a hiring perspective, many organizations are competing for the same resources. How do you become an employer of choice? Technology can help to give an organization an edge over their competition by attracting and retaining their employees and getting the job done faster, consistently, and efficiently. Truly, technology, when you have the right one, can help you to do that. It can also reach a broader audience that may be global. If you happen to, I have been in global companies, but I'm currently focused just in the education school district of Muskogee County. But I've seen how it can work across a larger organization and a global organization. So there's been some things that I can bring to Muskogee County that I have to kind of tailor it to fit the culture that I'm in now, because there is no one size fits all. You may find that you have remote people who are locally. So even though I'm seated here in Columbus, I may have people working outside of the Columbus area who are either remote or occasionally virtual, because maybe they're not 100% a remote employee. But this, if you can find technology that allows you to be consistent across all of those, they all feel included in this. Plus, it can reach a larger volume of people in a shorter period of time. So you can get things out a lot more quickly. Everyone has the same information all at the same time. And whether the company is small or large, it works either way. My company that I'm with now, the employee size is close to 6,000. But when I was with General Motors at the time, it was 75,000. So it can be used and scaled appropriately if you find the right tools. Technology options can reach you wherever you're at, whatever size you are. It can even help with improving the quality of those you hire, making unbiased decisions by growing the awareness of what your biases are, so that if you're more aware, you can make sure that your decisions are more inclusive. Whether when most people will find that there's this innate sense of they're doing the right thing, but there's so many pieces of information coming at you in your brain that you learn to take shortcuts. Well, sometimes those shortcuts build into the stereotypes and things like that. That kind of training is even available via technology, micro-learnings to keep the ongoing information coming from a LMS, from a library of short videos, just to keep that information top of mind so that your leaders are making the best decisions that are absolutely inclusive. Automating to save time and improve accuracy, and better integration of analytics. When you think about workplace analytics and workforce analytics, it's extremely important to understand the data that's coming in so that you can make the best decision for your organization, or at least guide your leadership in that. So I'm sure that you're seeing some of the following trends that come in HR technology. After the pandemic, the desire to work remotely increased significantly. So in order to compete, organizations have had to consider how to offer remote or more flexible work options. However, note that this has actually been visible in its increase going back over the last 10 years. But it's become more prominent immediately following the pandemic as people were choosing what it is that they wanted out of life. When organizations provide an online presence, communications and marketing tend to start to build more of an emphasis around branding that's more specific to the organization. It can help to stand out when you're comparing yourself to competitors. So if applicants or customers who are looking for services go to a website, they're going to be able to, if it's robust and attractive and answers all of the questions, easy to use, man, it's going to really draw in a lot of those, whether it's applicants or those not only looking for a job, but also looking for services, products, and so on. So it's imperative that you know how to use the tools you have to get your communications out consistently and quickly, and that you have the ability to create the branding in such a way that it's attractive to any user. And since Americans check their phones an average of 144 times a day, Text recruiting has become a very, very important part of the applicant tracking process. I happen to have used ISIMs in my last organization. Where I am now, I'm trying to make it a bit more user-friendly because I want it to be able to have the ability to be more mobile device friendly. I want it to be attractive, whether you look at it on a phone, an iPad, or a computer. And because people are looking more so on their cell phones, it's really imperative to make that transition. What are some of the other trends that you've been seeing that have been impacted by the need for HR technology support? If you'd note them in the chat, and then Nick, again, if you could share those with me, that would be great.
Okay, I don't see anything in the chat just yet, but I'm sure Lindsay will put that in there in a couple minutes.
And if not, I mean, I have plenty, but I would love to hear what some of the other, these are the top 3 that I tend to see and that the data seems to support, but there's so many different ways in which we can use HR technology that we need to get well versed in it in order to be able to get the kind of impact that we're looking for. And if not, I'll trust that my top 3 are your top 3.
Yeah, nothing has come through yet.
Sure.
We'll let you know for sure.
So if anything does come through, let me know, but I'm going to go ahead and proceed for the sake of time. So why is all of this important? The main thing is that it adds value as the world is changing, and it improves the reach nationally and globally. And that's extremely important in the world we live in today. I'm old. And so the automation part of the evolution is what drove me to early adoption of this mindset. I've always been an early adopter of things that have a perceived value. I was one of the first few women to have pursued engineering way back when, and among some of the first females to graduate from the United States Military Academy. Trying new things confirms whether they work or not, and they can be tailored for next steps in your organizational growth, as well as offer an opportunity for continuous improvement. Then we discovered that when systems could talk to each other, and you heard some people were saying that they have some standalone systems, but when they're integrated, it prevented the duplication of efforts. Following that, engagement of our employees, customers, whomever, has helped better understand how we can serve not only them, but the population as a whole. Engagement surveys especially give a voice to share insights that we can help to improve those services. Additionally, you often hear about the desire for growth and development as individuals, as small and large teams, as organization. It's really become an important component when attracting and retaining talent. Then there's the selling factor of return on investment. As you speak with your leadership, these can be things that are quantifiable, like example might be about the burden of indirect cost of all the touches that occur with your current process versus the cost of an integrated or partially integrated HR technology option. This can become a huge selling point for support from your leadership. Also, you wanted to be able to justify adding HR technology. You want to emphasize that users tend to disengage if online tools aren't easy and user-friendly. So finding tools to improve the situation that fit your culture is key. And when you're recruiting and retaining talent, remember that employees expect easy access to training and development for their own personal growth, or as a supervisor, being able to access it to share with their employees so that they can grow, as well as wanting to feel a part of the solutions chosen for the organization because it will impact them. People want to be part of the decision-making process to share, this is what I need, and then you can trend and make the proper decisions to impact your whole organization. So how can you get a greater impact? The biggest piece of this is how can you get a greater impact on using HR technology? And first, it's important to understand your organization's needs. It varies, and one size does not fit all. When you're thinking about people and their life cycle of employment, check if your recruiting systems are strong. Would video interviewing benefit you? How smooth is your onboarding or making remote work connections, providing training and development, communicating through social media, conducting personnel actions like promotions, taking vacation, making salary changes, or even terminating employment. From a performance management standpoint, are you communicating and establishing and aligning expectations and goals for everyone and tracking and managing that performance information in an ongoing way over the full review cycle and providing those appraisals at the end of the cycle? Technology can help to make sure that that's happening all the way around consistently. Are you sharing information completely and consistently with all employees as needed, such as virtual town halls even, that anyone can actually attend no matter what their time zone? Are you inclusive of others when making decisions, creating policies and procedures, lessons learned, best practices, and creating learning communities? You can have Google Docs, you can have a hybrid focus groups and the like. They're all helpful in accomplishing this that requires some form of HR technological support. And the big thing is to know the budget you have to work with, as it will limit your options when figuring out how to get the biggest bang for your buck. If you have or create a weighted request for proposal decision matrix, that will go a long way with capturing input during the demonstrations from all who are involved as to what will work best for your organization and its employees. So among my experiences with the Army, where the administration dictates what we have the money for, General Motors, which seemed to have deep pockets at the time I worked for them, the Department of Energy and the need to compete internationally while still maintaining top secret level of confidentiality, working for a Berkshire Hathaway company that saw value but offered a limited budget. And now even as in the education as an administrator, where every dollar spent is watched by the public. I've had a chance to view things from multiple angles over time. And the points that I've shared allowed me to determine when and how I can get the greatest impact from HR technology from each of them. The solutions weren't the same, but the impact was significant with each of the ones when they were implemented. And I'm new here somewhat, and they're open to my ideas, and it's great to see the changes that are coming with it. And so I'm hoping that some of the information I share today allows you to do the same. So I open the floor to any questions. Nick, let me know if there are any.
Sure. Yeah, there are. And here's one from the audience. We are struggling to improve our HR technology training. We have very little employee interest in it right now. Do you have any advice for us?
One of the best things for me is actually to be curious, ask questions. An engagement survey, more of a pulse one, because I know people get tired of getting surveys, but doing short ones or doing focus groups of key people who are creditable employees that are recognized, have some input in saying what would be the most meaningful for them, what has the most value, and then building from those trends, the types of support, training support that can be offered. I really feel like it's important to go to the source to find out what's the most meaningful for them before offering anything, if that makes sense.
Great. And yeah, I think we're out of time, but thank you so much, Tanya, for an incredible keynote. I also want to thank everyone else for joining us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event. Have a great day.